Okay, so Justin Bieber just went live on Twitch, and honestly, what happened next has the entire internet absolutely losing their minds right now. But before I get into the wildest moment that has everyone talking, I need you to understand why this whole streaming thing is such a huge deal in the first place. Because Justin has never been this unfiltered before, and what he's revealing is actually insane. So, Justin's been streaming on Twitch pretty regularly lately, which nobody saw coming, like at all. He's just sitting there, casually chatting with his friends, eating food, playing music, basically just existing in front of thousands of people watching his every move. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is the same guy who's been super private for years, so what changed? Like, what made him suddenly decide to broadcast his life to the world? And here's where it gets interesting. Because some people online have been speculating that maybe Justin needs money, which sounds crazy for someone who's worth hundreds of millions, right? But then you remember all the drama with his business managers, and suddenly it starts making a little more sense. But we'll get to that bombshell in just a second. Now, the thing about streaming is that it's completely unfiltered, unlike Instagram posts or carefully edited interviews. When you're live for hours at a time, you're gonna say things you probably shouldn't. And Justin has been doing exactly that. Like, he's been going on these long rants about his life and his career and the people who've wronged him. And some of the stories he's been telling are absolutely wild, but nothing prepared anyone for what happened during one particular stream. So get this, Justin actually told the entire story about when his son Jack was born. And it involves him getting into a full-blown argument with Hailey's doula during the delivery. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way Hailey wanted this story out there. Like, imagine your husband telling thousands of strangers about a fight that happened while you were literally giving birth. Justin said that he felt like the doula was taking over his role as a dad, that she was getting in the way when he wanted to comfort Hailey, and he actually yelled at her and told her to basically get lost. And then Hailey made him apologize because the tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. And I'm just imagining this scene in my head like you're trying to have a baby and your husband is fighting with the medical professional you hired to help you. That's actually insane when you think about it because doulas aren't cheap, especially in the US. Like, you're paying serious money for that support. But here's what really gets me about this whole situation. The doula was literally just doing her job, right? Like, that's what Hailey paid her to do, to advocate for her needs and help during the birth. But Justin felt pushed to the side and his emotions were running high, which I totally get because it's one of the most important moments of your life. But at the same time, I'm thinking, dude, you need to read the room. Your wife is giving birth and you're creating drama with the person she specifically hired to make this easier for her. And the fact that he's casually telling this story on a live stream like it's no big deal is kind of mind-blowing to me. Now, that story alone would be enough to get people talking, but Justin didn't stop there. He's also been opening up about people in his life who've taken advantage of him and used him to make money. And obviously, everyone immediately started thinking about Scooter Braun because that relationship ended pretty dramatically after years of working together. Justin didn't mention any names specifically, but he talked about how he finally reached a point where he decided it wasn't worth being stepped on just because someone was helping him make money. And he said his boundaries have really helped him grow as a person and that he's prioritized people over resources. Which honestly sounds like he's been doing some serious therapy work because that's a very mature perspective for someone who's been famous since they were literally a child. But let's connect the dots here for a second because this is where everything starts making sense. We know that Justin fired his entire business management team not too long ago because there were reports that he felt money was stolen from him. Like, we're talking about serious allegations of financial mismanagement. And then you add in the fact that he and Scooter Braun suddenly parted ways after being joined at the hip since the beginning of Justin's career, and now he's on Twitch talking about people taking advantage of him. I mean, come on, the internet is going to speculate, and honestly, can you blame them? What really struck me, though, was when Justin talked about how he used to think that achieving certain things would make him happy. Like, he thought once he sold out Madison Square Garden, or once he made a certain amount of money, that everything would be perfect. But obviously it wasn't, because happiness doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of chasing something, thinking it'll fix everything when really it won't. Now, in terms of his actual career and what he's got planned, Justin mentioned that Coachella is his one show next year, which honestly made some fans pretty upset because they want more than just one show. Like, people want a full tour, but I don't think that's realistic right now because the last time Justin tried to do a tour, he had to cancel the whole thing for his mental health. So one show is probably the best move for him, even if fans are disappointed. And he seems genuinely excited about Coachella, saying he's going to perform both his projects and merge in some old songs. And he talked about how he's always dreamed of performing in the desert and how magical it is out there. But here's the thing with Justin, you never really know if he's actually going to follow through. Like, some fans are worried he might pull a Kanye or a Frank Ocean and just cancel at the last minute, and honestly, that's a valid concern given his history. But right now, he seems excited, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens when April rolls around, because some fans are literally going to Coachella specifically just to see him perform. Okay, but now we need to talk about the moment that really broke the internet and had everyone in absolute chaos. So Justin's physical therapist came over during one of his streams to work on him, and people saw her with her hands on his back doing what appeared to be some kind of adjustment or treatment, and the comments absolutely exploded, with people saying she was way too close to him and that if they were Hailey, they would not be okay with this at all. The comments were insane. Like, people were saying there's no way she needs to be doing all that. She's having the time of her life. There's no need for physical touch like that. And I'm reading these comments thinking, okay, people are really reaching here because it's literally a medical professional doing her job. But you know how the internet is. They see a woman touching a married man and immediately jump to conclusions. However, not everyone was freaking out because some people actually defended the situation, pointing out that this is Dr. Jocelyn Miranda, who's a chiropractor that both Justin and Hailey use. Like, Hailey literally sees the same therapist, so clearly there's nothing shady going on here. And people were explaining that Justin has openly struggled with mobility issues and nerve pain, so physical therapy is just a normal part of his health routine. It's not some scandalous situation, it's just healthcare. But this is what happens when you stream your life, right? Every single thing you do is going to be analyzed and picked apart by thousands of people who all have opinions. And I think it's actually kind of interesting that Justin seems to enjoy streaming, despite knowing that people are going to overanalyze everything. Like, he's been a pretty private person, especially in recent years, so this shift toward being more open is definitely surprising. Although I will say in the last year or so, Justin's been posting on Instagram like constantly. Like, every 10 minutes there's a new post, which is very different from how he used to be. So maybe the streaming thing is part of a larger shift in how he wants to connect with his fans. Maybe he's trying to be more transparent and authentic, even if it means people are going to have opinions about everything he does. What I really respect, though, is that Justin is being super protective of Hailey and baby Jack. Like, he's not streaming anything that shows them. He's very conscious about keeping their privacy intact, and during one stream when Hailey was about to arrive with Jack, he immediately told his team to cut the screen because he didn't want them on camera. And I think that shows he understands the line between sharing his life and protecting his family's privacy, which is really important, especially when you have a young child. So at the end of the day, I think Justin streaming on Twitch is kind of fascinating because we're seeing a side of him that's completely unfiltered and raw. He's not reading from a script or having his words edited by a PR team. He's just being himself, for better or worse. And while some of the things he's sharing might make you raise your eyebrows, I think there's something refreshing about a celebrity being this authentic, even if it means occasionally sharing stories that probably should have stayed private. Like, maybe the doula story didn't need to be broadcast to thousands of people, but at least we know he's being real about his experiences. The whole situation with people speculating about his finances and his relationships with former business partners is definitely interesting, and I think as time goes on, we might get more clarity on what actually went down there. But for now, Justin seems focused on setting boundaries and prioritizing his mental health and his family, which honestly is probably the healthiest approach he could take. As for Coachella, I'm genuinely curious to see if it actually happens because it would be such a huge moment for him to perform again after taking so much time away from live shows. And if he does go through with it, I think it could be really special for both him and his fans who've been waiting years to see him perform. But I also completely understand if he decides it's not the right time because mental health should always come first, and there's no shame in putting yourself before the expectations of others. The physical therapy drama is probably the most overblown thing in all of this because at the end of the day, it was literally just a medical professional doing her job. but it does show how anything can be turned into a controversy when you're streaming your life to thousands of people who are watching your every move. And I think Justin probably expected some of this, but maybe not to the extent that it's actually happening. What's clear is that Justin Bieber in 2025 is a very different person than Justin Bieber was 5 or 10 years ago. He's more introspective, more open about his struggles, more willing to set boundaries with people even if it costs him professionally. And whether you love him or hate him, I think you have to respect the growth he's shown and the way he's trying to navigate fame on his own terms. The streaming experiment is definitely unconventional for someone at his level of fame, but maybe that's exactly why he's doing it. Maybe he's tired of the traditional celebrity playbook and wants to connect with people in a more direct and authentic way. And even if it means occasionally sharing stories that probably should have stayed private, at least it's genuine and at least we're seeing the real him rather than some carefully constructed public persona. So that's basically